Never before in the long arc of human history have we been as prosperous, as technologically advanced, or as powerful as we are right now. We live in an age shaped by the marvels of science, by comforts unimaginable to our ancestors, and by a global network that connects billions of people. Yet at the very moment we reach for the stars and unlock the secrets of the atom, we find ourselves overwhelmed by the dizzying pace and scale of climate change, a crisis born from our own ingenuity. At its core, the mechanism of climate change is simple. Greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide and methane act as an invisible blanket, trapping energy from the sun and pumping it into the atmosphere. This extra energy transforms our world. Winters grow milder, summers turn scorching, and the weather becomes more unpredictable. Dry places get even drier, while wet places are deluged with ever more intense rainfall. Countless ecosystems, forests, coral reefs, Arctic tundra, strain under these changes, and rising seas threaten to slowly swallow the cities we've built along their shores. The logical question arises, if we know the problem, why don't we just stop it? Why not simply cut out the emissions, stop burning coal, driving cars, or eating beef? The reality, as it turns out, is far more complicated. Often, conversations about climate change focus on a handful of obvious culprits. Coal-fired power plants spewing black smoke, highways jammed with cars, cattle fields releasing methane. The solutions, then, seem just as straightforward. Swap coal for solar panels, ride your bike to work, buy only sustainable products. The spotlight falls on personal responsibility. What can you, as an individual, do to halt the warming planet? Should you give up meat, switch to an electric car, or install solar panels on your roof? But to understand why these actions, while valuable, are not enough, we need to step back and look at the bigger picture. The modern industrial society we have built over the past 150 years is, in many ways, inherently dangerous to the biosphere. Almost everything we do to make life easier, safer, and more comfortable, growing food, building roads, manufacturing clothes and electronics, heating and cooling our homes, has an environmental cost. Many of the largest sources of greenhouse gas emissions are not the ones we hear about most. Landfills, for instance, emit as much carbon dioxide as all of the world's airplanes combined. Our homes, when you account for heating, cooling, and electricity, cause more emissions than all cars put together. Even the act of constructing infrastructure is energy-intensive. The carbon cost of building just 2 meters of road is equivalent to manufacturing an entire car. So, if we switch to electric vehicles but continue to pave over the landscape, the emissions problem persists. The scale of the challenge means that fixing one part of the system, cars or power plants or agriculture, will never be enough. Each sector has its own unique challenges, many of which have no obvious solution. Even in cases where solutions exist, adopting them widely is often technologically difficult, politically unpopular, or economically unviable. There's also a direct relationship between wealth and emissions. Richer countries and richer people within countries tend to emit more. It's tempting to suggest that the solution is simply to make the wealthy live less extravagantly. While this could help, it misses the larger point. The majority of the world's emissions now come from developing nations, where people are not living in luxury. They are striving to escape poverty or to build a modestly comfortable life. In many cases, climbing out of poverty means increasing emissions. Imagine telling a country that is struggling to provide basic needs, clean water, electricity, housing, to protect its rainforests and buy solar panels, rather than using the cheap energy sources available. For billions, more emissions are a sign of progress, not decadence. Developed nations grew rich by burning fossil fuels and exploiting natural resources. To ask developing countries to curb their emissions is to ask them to forfeit the same pathway to prosperity. Concrete provides a perfect example. It's responsible for about 8% of global carbon dioxide emissions, a staggering amount. Yet concrete is the cheapest and simplest way to build homes and infrastructure in developing nations. Stopping its use is not a viable option for those trying to improve basic living standards. Food is another enormous challenge. By 2050, we'll need to feed 10 billion people, and modern agriculture is deeply tied to greenhouse gas emissions. Fertilizer production emits carbon dioxide. Rice paddies release vast quantities of methane, comparable to the entire aviation industry. Animal agriculture is especially intensive, Although animal products provide less than a fifth of our calories, they account for more than half of food-related emissions. As nations grow wealthier, meat consumption rises, transforming traditional, mostly plant-based diets into meat-heavy ones. Currently, about 40% of all livable land is used for raising livestock, an area equivalent to the combined size of North and South America. The upshot is clear. The solutions for climate change often upset nearly everyone, regardless of wealth, nationality, or political leaning. Giving up meat, for instance, provokes passionate debate. Yet it's true that while eating less meat won't, by itself, solve climate change, there's no credible path to a solution that doesn't involve a significant reduction in global meat consumption. The same applies to other luxuries: frequent flying, global shipping, the production of ever more electronics. The costs of real solutions, like direct air capture of carbon dioxide, are astronomical, trillions of dollars per year, more than the GDP of most countries. If industries bear these costs, they become unprofitable. If governments pay, they must either raise taxes or cut spending elsewhere. In many places, governments still subsidize fossil fuels, because making energy cheap keeps transportation and goods affordable for billions of people. The political pressure to maintain this system is enormous. Calls to change the political or economic system, dismantle capitalism, embrace degrowth, or trust in freer markets are often made. But the uncomfortable truth is that no political system anywhere has yet achieved true sustainability. We don't have the luxury of time to conduct grand experiments. Action is needed now. So what can you do? Should you give up on personal responsibility or double down on lifestyle changes? The focus on individual action, buying an electric car, turning off lights, eating less meat, has its roots in public relations campaigns by fossil fuel companies. It's an effective way to shift responsibility from the biggest polluters to ordinary people, and it conveniently fuels consumerism by encouraging you to buy green products. Yet the impact of individual action is small. During the COVID-19 pandemic, when billions stayed home and travel plummeted, global emissions fell by just 7%, a fraction of what's needed. Even if you cut your personal emissions to zero, the effect on global totals is negligible. Real change requires systemic action. That means influencing policy, voting for leaders who take climate change seriously, and holding them accountable. It means demanding that governments and industries make the big changes, transforming energy, transport, food, and construction. It means supporting the development and deployment of new technologies, even when they are expensive at first, to drive down costs over time. If you have the means, buying low-carbon products and supporting innovation can help create markets for better solutions. Ultimately, meaningful climate action will be disruptive. It will make us all uncomfortable in some way, whether by changing what we eat, how we travel, or how we consume. But honesty about these trade-offs is essential. The path forward is not about guilt or perfection, but about collective action, accountability, and the willingness to push for change even when it's hard. So, as you consider your place in this challenge, remember, your voice, your vote, your choices can help shape the systems that will determine our future. Change will be difficult and imperfect, but it is possible if we face it together and if we are willing to act on what we know is true. Did you find our videos helpful? Please like and subscribe to our channel so we can be motivated to answer the questions that people are still wondering about.